Hugo was excited. He was going on an adventure. This wasn't just any adventure, it was a trip to Egypt. His parents had been planning this trip for months, and now the day had finally arrived. His mom called out, "Hugo, have you packed your toothbrush?" Hugo rolled his eyes. Of course, he had packed his toothbrush. He was 10 years old, not a baby. He had carefully packed his backpack with his favorite comic books, his lucky compass, and a small notebook for writing down his amazing discoveries. He zipped up his bag and dragged it to the living room. "All set," Hugo announced, trying to contain his excitement. He could barely wait to see the pyramids he had read so much about. He imagined himself riding a camel through the desert, just like the explorers in his books. His dad smiled and ruffled Hugo's hair. "That's the spirit, champ. We have a long flight ahead of us. Let's get going." Hugo grabbed his backpack and practically bounced out the door, his heart pounding with anticipation. "Egypt, here he comes!" Cairo was amazing. It was hot and crowded, full of honking cars and people selling spices in the streets. The air was filled with the smells of strange and wonderful foods. Hugo had never seen anything like it. His parents took him to see the Great Pyramid of Giza. It was even bigger than he imagined. Hugo craned his neck to see the top, but it was so high it seemed to disappear into the clouds. He climbed onto a camel for a ride around the pyramids. The camel was grumpy and smelly, but Hugo loved it. Back in the city, Hugo wandered through a bustling marketplace with his parents. He saw colorful fabrics, sparkling jewelry, and mysterious amulets. An old man with twinkling eyes tried to sell him a small, gold-painted statue of a dog. "This young man is no ordinary dog. This is Anubis, protector of the underworld." Hugo was tempted, but his mum pulled him away. "No time for souvenirs, Hugo. We have a busy day tomorrow." Hugo sighed. He really wanted that dog statue. Little did he know his Egyptian adventure was about to get a whole lot more interesting. The next day, Hugo's parents took him to visit an ancient temple. It was old and crumbling, with towering columns covered in strange writing and pictures. Hugo felt a shiver run down his spine as he stepped inside the cool, shadowy interior. He felt like he was being watched. His parents wandered off, admiring the hieroglyphics on the walls. Hugo, however, was drawn to a dark corner of the temple. There, half hidden in the dust and cobwebs, lay a massive stone sarcophagus, intricately carved with the image of a pharaoh and his faithful dog. Hugo cautiously approached the sarcophagus. He reached out and touched the cold, stone lid. It felt strangely alive under his hand. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and a low humming sound filled the chamber. A strange blue mist began to seep from the cracks in the sarcophagus, swirling around Hugo like a ghostly tornado. Hugo wanted to run, but his feet felt glued to the spot. He was frozen in fear as the mist enveloped him, pulling him closer to the sarcophagus. His vision blurred. He felt dizzy and disoriented. Then everything went dark. When Hugo opened his eyes, he couldn't believe what he saw. He was no longer himself. He was a dog. A small, slender dog with black fur and pointy ears, wrapped in tattered linen bandages. He was a mummy dog. He tried to speak, but all that came out was a confused whimper. He looked down at his paws, wrapped in the ancient bandages. It was then he realized he was inside the sarcophagus. He pushed against the lid with his head and tumbled out onto the dusty floor. He felt strange, different. He could understand the whispers of the wind, the secrets hidden in the ancient stones. He was faster and stronger than he had ever been as a human boy. But he was also lonely and scared. He missed his parents. He wandered through the temple, whimpering, hoping to find someone, anyone, who could understand him. That's when he saw them. Jackals! But these weren't ordinary jackals. These were Anubis's guardians, and they bowed their heads in respect. "The prophecy," one rasped, "it is fulfilled." Hugo, the mummy dog, quickly learned that he wasn't just any dog. He was the Pharaoh Hound, the chosen protector of the underworld. The jackals, his loyal subjects, bowed before him. They led him through secret tunnels deep beneath the earth into a magical underworld, bathed in an ethereal green glow. The underworld was a bustling place, filled with strange creatures and spirits. Hugo, the Pharaoh Hound, ruled with fairness and kindness, just like the pharaohs of old. He settled disputes, played fetch with ghostly scarab beetles, and even learned to speak dog, the language of all canines, living or dead. He learned that the ancient pharaoh who lay in the sarcophagus above had been cursed by a jealous sorcerer. The curse could only be broken when a pure-hearted soul shared the pharaoh's final resting place. By becoming the mummy dog, Hugo had broken the curse and freed the pharaoh's spirit. Even though he was treated like royalty, Hugo never forgot his true life. He missed his parents terribly. He missed reading his comic books and eating his mum's delicious cookies. He knew he couldn't stay in the underworld forever. He had to find a way home. One day, while exploring a hidden chamber deep within the underworld, Hugo discovered a glowing portal. It shimmered with an otherworldly light, and Hugo felt an irresistible pull towards it. He had a hunch this was his ticket home. He approached cautiously, his tail tucked between his legs. The jackals, sensing his intentions, bowed their heads in sorrow. "Go," one whimpered, "but do not forget us, Pharaoh Hound." Hugo licked the jackal's face in gratitude. He knew in his heart that he would never forget his time in the underworld, or the friends he had made here. He took a deep breath and stepped into the portal. The world dissolved into a blinding white light. Hugo closed his eyes, bracing himself for whatever came next. He felt a strange pulling sensation, like he was being stretched and squeezed through a narrow tube. Then, just as suddenly, it stopped. He opened his eyes cautiously. He was back in the temple. The sarcophagus lay open on the floor, the blue mist gone, and standing over him with tears in their eyes were his parents. "Hugo," his mum cried, scooping him up in a hug. "You're all right. We were so worried. Where did you go?" Hugo barked and wagged his tail, trying to explain. He had been a mummy dog. He had been the Pharaoh Hound. But the words wouldn't come out. His parents didn't understand. Suddenly he felt a strange, tingling sensation, and his vision blurred once more. He looked down to see bandages unraveling, fur disappearing, paws transforming back into hands. He was shrinking, changing, becoming human again. When the transformation was complete, there he stood. Hugo, a 10-year-old boy, a little dusty and more than a little bewildered, but otherwise unharmed. He rushed into his parents' arms, laughing and crying at the same time. He couldn't wait to tell them all about his adventures, about the jackals and the underworld, about being the Pharaoh Hound. But deep down he knew that no one would ever believe his incredible tale. And that was okay. Some secrets are best kept hidden.